Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, The Lock Talk. Let's talk about this Cowboys versus Giants game, 8 p.m. Eastern time start. We got Thursday night football. So let's get it rocking and rolling, man. I'm going to break down the stats, the key matchups, and the game prediction for this game tonight. So if you're ready for some football insights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's get it rocking and rolling, man. If you leave a comment, I will be doing a daily card giveaway, but also pay attention to that pinned comment down below. I left something special for you guys, so you guys get active. Last, primetime game, Monday Night Football, we swept. We went 2-0 with 2 props, so I'm looking to go sweep the board again. Had a great night yesterday. Cash with a big play on Natasha Cloud, over 19.5 or even 20.5 points and assists. She cashed in the third quarter. So obviously, WNBA is coming to an end. We have MLB ongoing. NFL, we've been absolutely cracking them. And hey, man, next month we got NBA coming back, and that's my best sport. I cannot wait for that. Can't wait to do breakdowns on those. So let's get straight to it, bro. Let me reduce my image real quick. I'm also a little blurry for some reason. I don't know why it's doing this, but let's talk about this game, man. Look, both teams come into week 4 with a lot to prove. The Cowboys are coming off a back-to-back loss, dropping them to 1-2, while the Giants, they're also 1-2 as well, riding a high horse after that big win against the Browns. They probably should have beaten the Commanders if they had a kicker available. But hey, I'll say this, man. If I say anything about this game, the one thing I will say is that the Cowboys have absolutely owned the matchup against the Giants. If you look at the head-to-head, the last 2 times they played, Dallas has absolutely dominated them. 49-17 the last game, and then the game before that 40-0. So I mean, last season it's been an absolute terrible start for them, but we'll see how they do in this game. I think there's some key things that I want to talk about in this game, particularly the matchup. They're both different teams. They're not exactly the same. Obviously, Cowboys are missing some guys. The Giants are also missing some guys. So let's talk about the Cowboys first. Let's talk about Dak Prescott. Look, he's been a Giants killer throughout his entire career. He's thrown for multiple touchdowns over the first half of many of these games, averaging 64.4% completion rate against the Giants. He's had 3 games where he's tossed 4 touchdowns, showing just how good he's been against the Giants defense. So the one thing I will say against Prescott against the Giants is that his career stats, he's 9-2 in his career, 64% completion rate, 18 touchdowns with 5 intos. Obviously, I mean, it's a different team. We're betting probably the spread because if we take a look at the game, if you wanted to bet Dallas money line, I mean, that's minus 250. That's definitely not worth it. If you wanted to bet Dallas, I'd say you probably got to bet the spread. I mean, if you think Dallas is going to win, you could, of course, bet Dallas money line, but it's a lot of juice. I would never suggest anyone laying that much juice. But the one thing I will say is Dak will be facing a much improved Giants defense this time around. Guys like Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Leonard Williams, our trainers are on the upfront, so you know it's a little bit of a different look. Cowboys still have a pretty excellent offensive line, but the one thing I will say is this: they do not have a good run offense like prior years. Even though they still have Ezekiel Elliott, the team is much different. Even if we take a look at the offense, right? We take a look at rushing yards. So far this season, they're 30th ranked in rushing. Terrible. Passing, technically, I guess on passing yards, they're ranked number 1, but rushing yards, man, they cannot run the ball at all. And if you can't run the ball, you don't have any diversity in your attack, which can make it easy for the defense to, I guess, get some stops or at least know what you're probably going to do. I'll say one thing, too. In terms of the defense, right, the Giants, at least the Giants, they've been one of the league's best at applying pressure. They're ranked 8th in the NFL in terms of generating quarterback pressures. In fact, last week against the Browns, they recorded 4 sacks and held Cleveland to just 3.7 carries per yard. Yards per carry. Sorry, 3.7 yards per carry. I mean, that's very impressive. Not only that, I mean, I'll say this, though. I actually don't think the Browns have a good offense at all. I mean, I'm surprised that Amari Cooper did so well. I'm surprised that the quarterback for the Browns even still in the league. So I'm not impressed, but still good stats nonetheless. Giants defensive stats last year in 2023, 8th in QB pressures, 3.0 yards per carry, 3.7 yards per carry allowed and 6th in rush defense efficiency. So, I mean, they've been really good against the run, and the Cowboys have not shown this year that they could run the ball. That's all very concerning in my opinion. But, you know, this could spell trouble for the Dallas offense, who struggled so far this season with injuries to Tyler Smith and poor play from Terrence Steele. The Cowboys O-line's allowing 18 sacks through 3 games, ranking the bottom half of the league in pass protection this season. So even though on paper they still have a really good offensive line, they've just not been performing. That's what I'll say. Let me adjust this camera real quick. But let's talk about, I guess, some key matches, though. The one that we'll say we're going to touch on the Dallas offense is CeeDee Lamb versus that Giants secondary. While the Giants have been solid up front, the secondary is where Dallas could probably exploit them with key injuries to certain backs. The defense has been shaky at best. They've been allowing 272 passing yards per game, which ranks 29th in the league. So take a look. I don't know why this says 86.3, but they've been allowing a decent amount per game. And that was I'm talking about last year, though, not this year. This year it's a little bit different. They've been allowing a little bit less, 86.3, but I don't know what I will put Dallas in terms of overall offense. They're probably not as good. They're probably better than the Browns. They may be better than the Commanders, but obviously everyone's very, very high on the Commanders right now with that big win against the Bengals. So we'll see, man. I mean, I'm not really too high either way. The one that would say is CeeDee Lamb's coming off a monster season last year. He's primed for a big game right here. Giants don't have the cornerback depth, in my opinion, to really cover him sufficiently, but I mean, no team really can. CeeDee Lamb is probably one of the best wide receivers, if not the best in the game. But so I think CeeDee Lamb can have a big game, but even some of these secondary guys can probably do well against this Giants secondary because they're gonna have to. If they want to win this game, they can't run the ball. It's been, I mean, they haven't proven it so far. So let's go switch over to now the Giants. Let me go switch off the offense and the defense. How the Giants been doing, man? Well, one thing I will say is Daniel Jones has really struggled against Dallas throughout his career. He's only had one win against the Cowboys and a completion of only 58% in those games. To make matters worse, Jones has been sacked 15 times in 3 games this season. So, I mean, not great, especially with Dallas and their defense. Let's not forget, man, Dallas has one of the toughest defensive linemen in the game, Micah Parsons, who's been an absolute force for the Cowboys. He's ranked #1 in pass rush win rate at 40.6%. And they'll be looking to feast on that offensive line, man. I mean, I'm a Giants fan. Doesn't mean I bet the Giants, but they've been terrible as an offensive line. That's why Saquon couldn't do anything, which I'm glad he's on the Eagles to a certain extent for his career because he's in a much better spot so he can run the ball. So I guess, you know, what's the final word here? Like, where am I leaning in this game? Given Dak Prescott, you know, very, very impressive track record against the Giants and Daniel Jones struggles, you know, I saw this line earlier at -4.5 for the Dallas Cowboys. The line has definitely jumped up a ton. Let me see if I can move this around. Has moved a ton from 4.5 to now 5.5. The whole world is on the Dallas Cowboys, and it makes sense. I'm not saying the Dallas Cowboys shouldn't be a favorite, man. I think the Dallas Cowboys have shown to be the better team. But I will say this: the Giants have been competitive. They've really been competitive. It's tough, man. And at the 5.5, I mean, we're getting close to that key number of 6. I will say if it went to 6 outright, I will probably lean with the Giants, maybe. I do think, however, this is a 2-score game. 5.5 is still below 6. So I do lean with the Dallas Cowboys. I do think the Cowboys have the better, you know, overall offense still. They have decent defense where they can, you know, give some problems to the Giants. But I will say this, the Giants, I think they're in a better spot this year than prior years. I think the running back, even though it's not Saquon, he could still do well enough. And they have Malik Neighbors in a really, really impressive wide receiver. And the Dallas Cowboys defense has not been impressive to me at all. I do think the Giants defense can keep it close for a while, but they may not have the firepower to overcome Dallas's offense. However, with a lack of rush offense, it's really, really tough for me. There's so many numbers that just point to the history. certain matchups, like it's hard to not go with Dallas in this game. But I will say, if I have to pick a total, I do think offense can be had from both sides. I'm going to go a little bit contrarian because I do believe a lot of people are on. Let me see. Let's take a look. I do think a lot of people are on the under, but let's take a look. Yeah, a lot of people are on the over. 60% of the money bets all over the over. So Dallas and the over. I think there definitely could be some score. It really just depends on if the Giants can get some offense rolling. And it's a tough game, man. I'm not like super in love with everything in this game. It's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's a tough game. But for the video's sakes, I'm gonna roll with the Cowboys minus 5.5, and maybe the under. I do think it's I expect Dallas defense to control the game and limit the Giants offense if this is the game script. And also alternatively, I do think the Giants can get some stops because they're not unable to run the ball against the Giants, and they're gonna have to pass it, which could lead to big plays, but not a lot of offensive efficiency. But the one thing I will say is I'm a little concerned about this 2024 rankings in terms of defense. Take a look. I mean, Cowboys have been allowing the most scoring in the league, so I mean, it's not great. Red zone efficiency very bad, 32nd overall. Everything else has been pretty average, allowing teams to get first downs. I mean, the Giants have the opportunity for sure to get some points on the board. But look at this, 29th ranked in scoring. So I mean, it's the battle of like two evils on both sides. So we'll see who imposes their will. But giving the Cowboys slots is under 6. I think the Cowboys win by 2 scores or more. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for tapping in, and I'll see y'all in the next one.